Hi guys, watch me adjust this and knock this whole camera down. That's what I feel like might happen. I was like, I'm just gonna tip it just a little bit more. I'm standing up today because I have such a big table full of supplies and examples that I wanted to show you that I needed room to work. And normally I would do that at the teacher's desk in the big classroom, but it's kind of a mess right now. And I need to go in there and clean, and I'm ignoring it because I'm not looking forward to it. But it's going to happen. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to sweep all the floors, and mop the floors. And it's going to happen. Right after this video, you guys hold me accountable. I'll post a picture on Instagram before and after. You'll see. All right, let's talk about what's going on in the studio this week. If this is your first time joining us here on YouTube, my name is Allison Jensen, and I am the owner of Orange Easel School of Art. Welcome to the Liberty Studio. This is kind of my home base because it's just down the street from my house, but we do have two locations in the Kansas City metro. We've got the Liberty Studio, which opened in 2014, and we have the Plattwood Studio that opened in 2018. They do the same things. They're just in two different places. So Miss Sarah kind of runs that one for me. She's the GM out there, and then I kind of oversee this one for the most part. And then there's a lot of collaboration, and we work together as a staff and a team to make sure that we're real consistent on what we're offering for our students. This is our Monday morning video where we're going to talk about what's going on in those classes and what the kids are doing in those classes, just for all of you parents out there. So if you got kids in classes, or if you're interested in classes, this is a great place to get that information. All right, so where should we start? Oh, and then when we get through all the classes, we'll go through housekeeping. So let's start actually with our multimedia classes, because that's probably going to be the most of this video. Yeah. So starting with our multimedia classes, it is Fiber Arts Month, which means we're doing art to do with fabrics and with fibers. My younger classes, my K1s and my second thirds, are making a woven tapestry. My fourth and fifths are doing a hand sewing project. And then my older kids are doing needle felting. And I brought bunches and bunches and bunches of stuff for you. Let me real quick get rid of that notification that's on my screen. Okay. So I just grabbed these just out of the cubby because I wanted to show you the progress that was happening on our, where'd it go? There it is. On our tapestries. So you can see they worked last week. It's like half of one class, right? They worked last week on getting their handle attached and beading it, because we have the most amazing bead collection that we get off of Amazon. Look at that one. That one's an elephant bead. So they get to kind of pick through like the different treasures. They get to decide on their color scheme. You'll also see that they, here's a good one. They also designed a little bit on their wooden stick, right, that holds it together. It's a sandwich on both sides. So they decorated both sides of it. They hot glued the top and the bottom, and they are ready to start weaving next week. So K1 second thirds this week are going to start getting that over and under and building this tapestry. Because right now it's just kind of a blank slate. It looks like, a blank canvas or a blank page. But they've got a selection of yarns, a selection of ribbons. They've got beads. They've got buttons and different things that they can weave to make their own unique tapestry. They have to make a lot of decisions here. How long is the stitch going to be? How wide space are you going to leave? How much negative space are you going to leave? What colors are you going to use? Is it going to have a repeating pattern, or is it just going to be random? And we really foresee everybody going horizontally with theirs. But if somebody decided to go vertically, we probably wouldn't stop them. So I don't know. We'll see what they come up with. So these are all of the, like I said, these are not all of them. This is one class out of 4 in Liberty and 4 more in Plattwoods that are building these tapestries. So that is exciting, and we'll be able to show you next week the progress that happens in those. Now, my second and third graders, I don't have in progress projects to show you because they had to come up with the concept last week. They had to just talk about like what they're building and how they're going to do it. So it was a lot of ideas, and I brought their journals. So if you're new to the studio, you may not know this, but every student in class gets a journal. Let me make sure that statement is correct. It is. Toddlers don't get journals, but everybody else in class gets a journal. And it's a place for us to capture ideas, to take notes, to free draw when we have extra time. But it's just theirs. And it kind of keeps everything together. It also helps us in organizing, because then we don't have millions of sheets of paper everywhere. So they just have their journals. So they spent their day planning out what their little felt monsters were going to look like. And they had to talk about shapes, right? Is it going to be square, like Miss Akira's example last week, right? Or is it going to be, something a little bit more rounded? Is it going to have any appendages? Is it going to have ears sticking out or arms sticking out? Is it going to have a tail? What colors are you going to use? What does the face look like, or the facial features? Or maybe it doesn't have a face. I don't know. So they'll have to figure all of that out. And they did that in their journals. And of course, then they shared it with the instructor, and they shared it with the class to get more ideas. This helps our instructors then to be able to identify, like, if they're understanding what the project is going to be. It also helps their ideas get communicated to us so that we can help them realize it, right? So sometimes verbally describing what you want to make, we don't always get the same vision. But if you can put it down on paper, now we have a plan, and I can help you realize it. So they've got their plans set. And then they also worked on sewing. So they did learn the running stitch, the over and under stitch, so that they can, be ready when it comes time to sew. I also think they learned how to tie knots and thread needles, because those are two things that make our lives a lot easier if everybody in class knows how to tie a knot and thread a needle. So this is my 4th and 5th grade class. This week, they're going to start cutting out all of their pieces, assembling at least the face, and then start sewing. So super fun things. I should have some great stuff to show you next week. Ready for the big kids? If you remember correctly, my middle school, high schoolers were doing a brand new project to us. They were doing needle felting. Not only is it a brand new project, it's a brand new technique for all of us here in the studio. Well, a couple of our instructors have played with felting before, but we've never taught it in a class. And so I didn't even bring the instructor's example. So if you want to see the jellyfish that Miss Liz made or Miss Tori made, you can go back to last week's video, because I did hold it up. But I did bring the kids' projects. And so very similar to my 4th and 5th grades, they did a little bit of prep work. They got their hoops ready, which was trickier than we anticipated. But they went ahead and got the little gauzy fabric into their hoops. And then they started by making sure that the hoop, the just raw wood, looked how they wanted it to look. The gauze fabric is light blue. There was no choice for that. That's what I bought. So it kind of works. Like, this one's really pretty. Like they did their whole hoop inside and out. That was done with liquid washable watercolors. So they are prepped and ready to start felting this week. They also did, similar to the monsters, they worked in their journals. We looked at pictures of jellyfish. We talked about what a jellyfish looks like. What are the body parts, or what are the characteristics of a jellyfish? And then they drew. So they started planning out, and I've got a couple different examples, kind of what they were thinking. Now, plans change when we start to execute things. Sometimes we have happy accidents and we go that direction. And then sometimes we have accidents and we're like, nope, that's not right. And we fix it and we go back to the original plan. So, whether there's actually turns out looking like this, we at least have to start with a plan. And so they planned out kind of what their colors might look like. They looked at the different colors of wool roving. They looked at the different fibers that we have to incorporate into tentacles. And they planned out in their brains, I love this kind of double one. That's so cool. What it might look like as they start to assemble it. This week, they will take that plan, pick out their wool roving, and begin to put it here on their hoop. And then at that point, then it goes on the table with a little sponge under it. And then you just stab it. And to build up and tangle all those fibers together in order to fix it to the hoop. And then it's built up in layers. So they add more fibers and for something more opaque. They add less fibers for something a little bit more sheer. They can also felt in pieces of yarn. They can felt in sequins, which we did find. They can felt in, other pieces of, like we've got some cording, so some different things. So, all right. So that's what I have going on for my multimedia classes. We should have some really fun things to look at next week. Yeah, so fun. Fiber arts are great. I have to make sure I keep all this stuff in their appropriate piles because I have to put all this stuff back into the right cubbies. Like, where did I take it out of and where does it go back? Otherwise, the instructors are like, where did my stuff go? All right. Want to talk drawing classes? So every week we have kids that come to the studio, and instead of doing the multimedia, instead of doing the clay and the ink and the pastels and then the watercolors and the fibers and the metals, which is coming up next month, we have kids that come and they just do drawing. So all year long, they are drawing. So I've got their journals. They also get journals. Theirs are bigger because this is where they do their work. And my parents out there, hopefully you get a chance to see it. I know they don't take these home, mostly because then we don't get them back in time for class. But I know they don't take them home, but they are always welcome to carry them out to the lobby during pickup so that you can see what they worked on in class. And there is a drop box in the lobby for them to just set it in, and then the instructor will put it back in their cubbies. So that way, hopefully you're getting to see what they've made. But we went through all the figure and the portrait at the beginning of this year, right? We did basics, we did portrait, we did figure, and now we're into kind of some of the fun stuff. So last week we did one of everybody's favorites, and we did cats and dogs. So I want to show you what my 101s and my 102s did and talk a little bit about the differences between the two, right? So my 101s, this is our kindergartners, 5-year-olds up through like maybe 4th grade, 9s, 10s. Okay. So it's the young elementary age. Most of our class is right at that 7-8 mark. And they are really working on breaking down a little bit more complex idea into simple shapes, being able to do a contour drawing, which is a line drawing, and then also being able to finish a drawing, right? Because young kids don't always have the attention span to work to a complete drawing. They're kind of like a million browser tabs open and they just move on to the next thing. So we want to talk to them a lot about completeness, and we just encourage it. Nobody can make anybody do anything, right? So we have a lot of really great contour drawings that happened in our dog and cat lesson. We had some pictures of dogs and cats for them to look at, but we also did a step-by-step with them, which is something, where's another one? Which is something that we don't always do, and we haven't been doing in our figure and our gesture drawing, where we broke down a more complex image and then stepped them through, what do you draw first? What do you add next? What a line do you erase? What was just a guideline that now we don't need anymore, for placement. So all of those things help our artists to think like artists. So hopefully next time they see something, they can break down the steps and the shapes. You can see we worked on getting something maybe a little bit more complete, getting a foreground and a background right in there. So those are my 101s. Now in 102, we're still doing the same subject matter, but 102 doesn't just do contour. They might start with contour. They might start with a line drawing and placement and all that stuff, but then they take it a step further and they're adding things like value and texture. So a lot of times my 102s are working in black and white because it's great for the value scale. Look at that, like all those little textures and values that they have up there. I love that. Whoops, I think this one came out of this book. How amazing is that, right? Look at that great texture that happened kind of to get the dog. Not only did it add what we see as fur, right? But it also, because the fur lines, the lines that they used are tighter together, we get a darker value back here, which makes our puppy dog look 3-dimensional, right? Here's another great one. You can see not only did this artist put their marks in the fuzzy furry cat, so it looks like a fuzzy furry cat, they also use their eraser to dig out highlights in certain areas, right? So we can draw not just by adding, but also by removing. I think this might be charcoal. Like, is it graphite or charcoal? I think it's charcoal. Okay. So those are just a few examples. Hopefully you can see the difference between 101 and 102. There's a big jump that happens when our artists start to see those values. And then that's when they need to move into the 102 class. Okay. All righty. So those are my drawing classes. Let's talk through, and this week, so that was last week. We got to show last week. This week, they get to take some of these very same principles and draw some amazing, fantastical creatures. So it is unicorns, alicorns, and dragons. So amazingly, the body part shape of a cat and dog, right, a 4-legged creature, you can use those principles into drawing other four-legged creatures. So, and what's great is we already did the skeleton with the human body and the underlying bone structure and muscle structure. So again, we can apply those principles of basically a stick figure to our animal drawings as well. So they're going to continue to draw animals all this month long, and next month are a couple imaginary animals. Or I'm sorry, it's not dragons. It's just unicorns and alicorns. Lizards and dragons are week 3. So, all right. Let's talk a little bit about our fundamentals. Yeah? Okay. Oh, and sewing. I always forget to go get the sewing stuff. You want to go watch? Let's go for a walk. We did this last time too, didn't we? Like a couple weeks ago. I tell you, I always think this is my setup. Now you can see why I was precariously perched. Let's go look in the sewing cubbies and see what Miss Liz has been up to. With any luck, I'll be able to. Oh, my alarm's going off for some reason. We'll have to walk by and turn that off too. Okay, these are all the cubbies down here. Sewing class has one. Let's see if we can find it. Is there stuff in here? No. This is assuming that Miss Allison knows. Oh, I found them. I think. Let's look. You're like bouncing. Hopefully nobody gets motion sickness. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. They're making little bees. So oh my goodness, there are more. Oh my goodness. So it looks like, I didn't go over this stuff with Miss Liz, but they have gotten their faces stitched on for their bees. And they've got their antennas and their wings ready to go. That is wild. I bet this week, they're doing the stripes. These are super. Oh, look at the little flowers. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh my goodness. You know, working in an art studio, you guys, there's so many great treasures. So they're going to take their black and white fabric, and they're going to have to make a body for this bee and then wings, and they'll get it stuffed. So it'll be like a little stuffed thing. Yeah. Like a plushie. That's a better word. I'm going to go walk this way now in case you haven't seen the studio. Here's a class. Here's another one. This is the messy room that I told you about. I have to go turn my alarm off. There. We'll walk through here. This is going to be clean later. I promise. And we're back to where we started. Okay, so we talked about sewing. That was a fun field trip. Let's drink some coffee. Where is it? There it is. Then we'll talk about fundamentals. Okay, so our preschool program is called Preschool Art Fundamentals, and it's a 90-minute art class for our youngest artists, and it uses the whole studio. So everything I just walked through, we're all in. We go to all places. Actually, pretty soon, since we've already moved, pretty soon, not much longer, we'll get to use the outside area. I recently bought a leaf blower, so we started getting it all cleaned up. Hopefully the weather stays warm and get the flowers planted out there, and we can start getting out there and playing too. But my fundamentals classes are doing their nature month. We're looking at the art of Monet and doing art that's about nature, landscapes and painting on rocks and painting on wood blocks and fishing. This week we read Make Way for Ducklings, which is a classic book, and we get to make art about ducks. So we have a mixed media project. I'm making sure this doesn't fall. We have a mixed media project that uses feathers and washi tape and some drawing. We're later on in the year, and the kids are really good at their drawing. So they'll get to create their own duck art. I'm trying to think other things that are going on. And then after that, we did the flower stuff last week with Ferdinand. The third week is Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. So it's a lot of letter art. It's a great one for the end of the year for our preschoolers because most of them are really interested in their letters, and incorporating letters and writing in art is amazing, right? Who doesn't love typography? So, okay, so that's our week. Did I get everybody? I think I did. I almost forgot sewing. but I got it at the very end. It was because they do not keep their stuff in the big closet, which is where I get everything else from. That's what I'm going to blame it on. All right. Let's talk through just a couple of housekeeping things, and then I'll let you guys go. So summer registration is still going on. We do have a few camps that are full. If you are on the wait list for those camps, we let you know if there is an opening with within the camp. And there has not on Glitterfest. There has not been movement on Glitterfest. But Fantasy Creatures has had movement on the wait list twice now already, because I've had a parent that has said, oh, now they're going to Colorado, or, oh, can we switch it to this week instead? And that opens up a spot for somebody on the wait list. It is first come, first serve. So when you get that text from me that says, good news, a spot has opened up in your art camp, and it has a link in it, don't read it and then go, oh, good, I'll look at that later. Because that's not just a spot for you. That's a spot for the 9 people that are on the wait list, and anybody else that happens to just be clicking through the website at that time. Okay. It is just open. And anybody can grab it. So don't wait and think, oh, I got to ask a couple questions to Miss Allison and then message me the next day, get your questions answered. And then later that afternoon, go to register and be like, what do you mean there's not a spot? Okay. Because that spot probably filled within an hour, sometimes within minutes, but usually within an hour or so. So just be aware of that. Maybe ask your questions now if you have questions about camp, so that you're ready when a spot opens up. Okay. We do email and send text messages depending on what your preference was noted in your sheet. So if you don't know, you can reach out to me and I can help you with that. Other than that, I haven't really looked at registration lately to see what is close to filling. So I'll do that later this week. And we'll do a quick update on the Instagram stories and on the Facebook page, so that people can see what spots are left. Okay. We've also got some things coming up just for our enrolled students this month. So we've got our art show happening at both studios. There was a typo in one of my emails, so I apologize for that. It happens a lot. I don't mean to make typos. Just usually, typos happen. So it's not on the 20th. It's on the 24th. So it's a Sunday night. Now, as I'm saying this, I'm going to double check. It is the 24th on a Sunday night is our art show. It goes from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And it is an open house style art show. There will be awards. It's totally optional. Kids do not have to put a piece of art in. If that stresses them out and makes them anxious, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. If they want to, they are more than welcome to. It's not a competition. It's just, we want to recognize our artists and share it. Being brave enough to put your art up is award enough. So we're proud of all our artists who do submit things so that we can put them up for the show. And everyone's invited. You're welcome to come to the studio and walk through and look at the art. And we're going to have some, refreshments like prepackaged cookies and punch or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out, whatever I can find at Sam's Club. And so you are more than welcome. We'll do the awards presentation at 6:30. We'll probably live broadcast it on Facebook Live or YouTube. I don't know. If anyone has a preference, let me know. We'll do one of the two. We'll broadcast one and record one for sure, because they'll probably be happening simultaneously. I'll do Liberties and Sarah will do Platwoods, so that we have both of those. And then the art only goes up for the show, and then it comes right back down. Unfortunately, we can't leave it up because I would hate for anyone's art to get ruined. The studio is a busy place. And there's lots of things happening. So we'll take it up, put it up for the show, and then take it down that night. And then there will be pickup that happens in the studio. Okay. You guys, I feel like there's more. There's a Mother's Day thing coming up on the 1st, May 1st. If you'd like to join us for that, we do have some spaces available. We'd love to have you. And that's really it. And summer is coming faster than we know. Oh, I know. My teens who are taking classes, if you are planning on applying to be part of our summer camp counselor staff, if you're going to volunteer here in the studio, we would love to have you. That application deadline is coming up on Friday. So make sure you get your applications in. We have interviews going on all this week. And then we'll do another round of interviews next week so we can get our staff figured out. You can find information on that just by going to orangeeaselart.com/junior staff. And then there's like all the information. I've had some people ask me, what does it cost? And I'm like, it doesn't cost anything. You're volunteering. You're helping us. So it doesn't cost to be a part of the junior staff. You get a t-shirt, you get to come to camp, you still get to make all the projects, all that good stuff. But you're on staff. So you're helping the instructor team. It's a cool gig. It's a way for our teens to be involved in our summer. All right. If anybody needs anything from me, you can find me here at the studio. I got to say goodbye because I just got a notification that my battery saver is on. Consider plugging in your device. And so I don't want to lose you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, you guys, and I will see you in the studio.